When I walked in, I said it was nice to be with old friends. He said, not old friends. You know. I said, long-standing friends. So, and I'll tell you, it's been, I don't know how many years since I presented here before. Since then, I have hearing aids, and I'm a little hard of hearing, so if I don't hear you the first time, thanks to senior citizens, et cetera, you know, how many have hearing? No, you don't have to say that. But I may ask you to speak again, and if you ever don't hear me, please let me know. I remember doing an all-day presentation in Maine from 8 till 4 in the afternoon. And somebody came up to me at 3 o'clock and said, I haven't heard you all day. So please tell me ahead of time if you can't hear me. So first of all, feel yourselves in your chairs. Just really sink into your chairs. Whatever you had to do to get here, whatever, how far you had to drive, whatever, just shake that off. Yeah, you did a great shake. Nikki, is it? Yeah, just shake it off. Close your eyes. Exhale. Yeah. And right now, think of something that you really appreciate about you. Just let that bubble up. Anything that you appreciate about you. And I'll be talking a little bit about the neuroplasticity of our brain, which means however we use our brain makes a big difference in how we are. So give room for whatever that quality is that you appreciate about you. And just for kicks, eyes still closed, put one hand on your top of your head to feed your brain and give that quality some nourishment. Feed that quality right now. Think about it. Let it expand. Yeah. And very gently put your hand back down again. And open your eyes and look around at all the critters in this room. All these CAPA critters. And find somebody you don't know, walk over to them and tell them one thing you appreciate about you. Go do it right now. You just have 30 seconds to do it, so get up and move.
That I don't know.
Oh, we know.
Tell you one thing I appreciate about
No, try to get it.
That means to thank your partner and come back.
We need a bullhorn.
So, in the little handout that I gave you, you'll see at the top, I have what I always think are the 2 key questions about anything.
we need more handouts, ma'am.
You need more handouts. Who are my handout people? I'm not
If you
sure.
give some to me, I'll pass some out over here. There's one here. Does anyone over here need one?
So, if you need one, raise your hands.
There's 2.
Keep one for myself. Do we have more here? More back here?
If you were sitting right, you could
So,
at least.
the two key questions. Dennis, will you be my secretary?
Oh, I'm horrible at writing. Debbie.
Debbie.
Debbie Gilman.
What?
Maybe kill that.
She needs you to write.
She needs me to write?
Yes.
Just the key questions. Just you don't even have to put, just put 1 and 2. Just 1,
Do I have to go up there, or
wherever. Yeah.
I can do it where you can do it?
Right here would be good, because it might be. Ask Steve.
So 2 key questions, always. Who am I? And what am I here for? And I take this on 2 levels. One is the immediate, right now, and the other is the, what I call the cosmic. So for me, right now, who am I? I'm Millie Greneau, drove up from New Haven, grandmother, stepmom, senior citizen, here, what, the works, you know, member of CAPA, proud author. And what am I here for right now? I'm here to be with you, to help you have some ideas about how to promote yourself and your books. I told Brian I didn't want to do like a big PowerPoint thing or anything. I just want to be with friends, sister and brother authors, and share some wisdom. So it's like, I am the PowerPoint. You are the PowerPoint. No machines, here we are. So that's who am I, what am I here for? We'll be dealing a lot with that today. Those are the 2 key questions. So first of all, how many, thanks Debbie, you hang out there if you want or go back to your chair.
Okay.
Okay, how many of you have already written a book that's published, either by a real publisher or self-publisher? Great, look around, see how many published people who are here. How many people have not yet done it, but are in the process of doing it?
Written but not published.
Written, and how many are both? They published and they're working on another one. Raise both hands then. Okay, so look around, and what this organization is great for, which is what Dennis and Dan and Brian have talked about, is that we're, in a way, we're all in the same boat. Like, I'm not a world famous person. People know me, and I just came back from Argentina, which, get this, happened because I did a workshop 8 years ago at a social work gathering, and one of the guys from Argentina liked me, loved my book, bought it. When he went back to Argentina, he said, we got to get you down here. So I present, and I used to live in Bolivia and Peru. So I loved the opportunity to get my Latin heart back again and be with them. So I was one of the key presenters at the International Conference on Mindfulness, Coaching, and it was something else. I can't even remember what the 3rd title was, but, and they published that, yes, last year, my 2 key books were published in Spanish by an Argentinian. They did it just in time to have for the conference. So you never know, like 2 weeks ago, I presented at a local New Haven library. Just 12 people there, but they got it. We connected. You never know. And I'm recognizing my mission in life. Do people know the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh? Anybody know him? Thich Nhat Hanh, he's written some wonderful books, Being Peace, etc. I met him after I had a really bad accident. I'll tell you briefly what got me into writing. I had, well, as Dennis said, I had been a nun for 8 years. That's how I was in Latin America. After that, I left and was wild and crazy, did all kinds of things that thankfully my parents weren't alive to know about. So I lived in Spain for 3 years, studied guitar, just explored life. Came back, thought I was kind of ready. I went to UConn, got a MSW, was beginning my own business, was working on a book, and married for the first time in my life. This ex-Kentucky Catholic ex-nun married a Brooklyn Jew, so you never know. And he had 2 teenage sons. And so I became an instant stepmom. I thought I was handling everything quite well. You know, oh yeah, I can do this. So my buddy Joe that I worked with asked me one day to go for a bike ride around Deep River, Connecticut. Great place for biking. We went. I still don't know what happened. He thinks I hit a pothole. I was thrown over the handlebars, knocked unconscious, and he thought I was dead. It was before cell phones, so he didn't know what to do. Stay with me, not stay with me. Finally, a car came. They somehow got me to the green at Deep River, small town. Lifestar helicopter flew me 42 miles to Yale New Haven Hospital. I woke up only once during that time, and I heard the whir of the helicopter in the hands of the EMT woman. And I thought, she's good. I wasn't conscious, but I knew she was good. If she hadn't been, I'm not sure I'd be standing up here today talking with you. The time in the hospital was a great wake-up call for me. I had worked in the mental health division of Yale New Haven Hospital. I had never been a patient in the hospital. They wheeled me into the ER. How many have been a patient in an ER? Not always the most pleasant place to be, right? Bright lights, noise, and I wasn't conscious. When I came to, I remember saying, hand, hand, nothing. Finally, the third time, hand, hand. A teenage, what do you call the volunteers? Candy Striper or something? Was holding my hand, but it felt weird. She had plastic gloves on. And I was like, oh, I need a human being, you know? My husband was out of town. He wasn't there. They wouldn't let Joe in because he wasn't family. So X-ray technician came and wheeled me in. And I knew by then that this side hurt. But she didn't pay any attention to me. Just like, stood me up, I fainted, I was on the floor. Somebody was on the floor with me. Is it okay if I hold your hand? He held my hand and looked at my hospital and looked right in my eyes and said, Mildred, Mildred. I thought, thank God there's a human being here. It was the orderly, right? Next morning, I'm still out of it. When you're in that surreal place, it felt like a bunch of penguins around my bed, but they had charts. And I heard the chief penguin say, female, bicycle accident, ruptured kidney, 3 concussions. I guess that's me. But he didn't say, good morning, Miss Greneau. I'm Dr. So-and-so. May I bring these students? Nada. That night, I was out of it again, but I felt it was almost like a tropical breeze near my bed. Okay if I touch? Came up to me and said, how you doing, honey? It was the housekeeper, right? So this was my wake-up call. I'm a professional in the health profession. How do I treat my patients when I'm so busy doing my work that I forget who am I and what am I here for? I couldn't work for 3 months, so in my backyard hammock, I knew I had to find out ways to get closer to those big questions. Who am I and what am I on this planet for? And why am I here? And so during that time, I knew I wanted to find little strategies that I could use for me and that would help me be present And I didn't have money to go away on long vacations, long retreats. The kids had to be taken care of, etc. It had to be something I could use immediately, didn't cost, didn't have to join a monastery or even a gym. So I found 4 strategies that I called my Oasis strategies. And that is what became the basis of my first book. I was doing workshops for years, like at hospice I did for social workers and nurses. They got it for Bridgeport Mental Health, for Clifford Beers. And finally, one day I was out with my accountant, and he said to me, "So what are you doing, Millie?" And I told him, he said, "Well, you're doing it for all these health people. I'm a person too. Why don't you do it for business people?" So I began doing it for Chamber of Commerce, other people. And then I got tired of just doing workshops and handouts. And my friend said, "Millie, write a book. Make it a book." And at that same time, all the new science was coming out about the neuroplasticity of the brain and how we literally can change how our brain operates by how we use it. So that's the basis of this book that probably took me 2 years to write. And I even tell people, even if you don't read it, feel the cover. Feels good. And we designed it to feel like baby skin, so that even looking at it, it makes you feel better. And on purpose, large print, so that it's pleasant to read. I have one cartoon in it. Let's see if I can find it.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Sure, Dennis.
You did it. So what she just did was one of the greatest marketing strategies in the world. Even if you don't read it, just feel it. To me, that's like, that makes you want to buy it right there. It's an instant pull or draw. So think about that when you're marketing your book.
Good, thank you. He can interrupt all he wants to, because that gave me the idea to do
So
something
sandpaper's
else.
not a good idea.
To invite you to read the cartoon. Yep, put the reading
Yeah, I'll need
glasses
the reading
on.
glasses. Here we go.
And if you could show the picture, tell them what the picture looks like.
All right, little, if you can't see it, very short little character, short and stout, with a really curly head of, bushy, curly head of hair, and very dark eyes, and kind of a straight across mouth, not smiling, not frowning. The caption on the top, I try to take just one day at a time. And then on the bottom, but lately, several days have attacked me at once.
So what I'm doing with you now is exactly how I did my first book signing at Barnes & Noble. Not exactly how, because it's different now. I'm different from then. But it's like telling my story. Why did I do this? And why is it important? Why is your book important to you? And why is it important to anybody else? It's like I'm not doing a PowerPoint presentation and having you do 88 handouts or whatever. It's like I'm the PowerPoint. You're the PowerPoint. So that's the background on this story. And when it came out, I had been a long-time social worker, but then a friend of mine who knew me called me one day from Pennsylvania and said, Millie, I'm studying to be a life coach and I need some guinea pigs. Can you do one session with me? And I said, sure, because I knew her from when I had trained her in body-mind methods. So in that 1 hour, I got so much from that session that I decided I wanted to become a life coach. So I did the training to become a life coach. Okay, all of these things interweaving, the teenage boys were challenging me, I was growing, et cetera, So I came to my International Coach Federation Connecticut chapter meeting with my book that had just come out and wanted to tell them about it. And I told them about it. We did some of the strategies, which you'll be doing. And they said, Millie, we want to learn this. You have to develop a training. So I developed a training to become, which still exists. If you want to become an authorized OASIS trainer, talk to me. You can do that. So they did it. They became trainers. And then 2 of them said, Millie, I'm giving your book to all my clients, but they want a workbook to go with it. Can we make a workbook? So Jill from, I think she lives in Avon, and Ginny, who lived in Hartford, 2 coaches and I worked together for 9 months working on this to develop this 28-day guide, which is rewire your brain from chaos to calm. And it's a real workbook that has exercises you do every day, challenges, etc. So it continued to develop as we went along. And so all of that, I'll pause for just a minute to give you a minute to close your eyes and think about your own works and something that may be cooking for you right now, having been with me for a few minutes. And I'm not even going to ask you to say it out loud. Just go to yourself. Let your brain, your heart, your soul cook. And you might want to jot down a few words or a doodle or a drawing for yourself right now while it's fresh. That's to bring you back again. So, one of the things that I believe firmly, and Dennis knows about me as Brian does, I'm not a person that just has people sit and listen to my lecture. So, I can remember the first time I presented to the Chamber of Commerce. They were like, oh, she's going to be touchy-feely. We don't want to do any touchy-feely stuff, you know. So I had to give them statistics to back up what my words were. So research shows that usually we remember only, get these percentages, 10% of what we read, 26% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, and 50% of what we see and hear. On the other hand, give me a little drum roll on this. On the other hand, we remember 90% of what we say while doing a related activity. Got it? So that's warning that you're not going to be sitting there. Whatever you have in your lap, put it away and stand up right now, please. And Dennis, I'm going to need a chair.
Those are connected.
Yeah, and I need you to hold me. So do you have insurance?
Do you have insurance?
Help me out.
What kind of insurance?
You don't have to get up in your chairs, don't worry. I just want you to be able to see me so you can do what I'm doing. You ready? North!
North.
Oh, I didn't hear you. North! North! South! South! East! East! West! West! Louder, louder. North! North! South! South! East! East! West! Canada!
Canada.
Patagonia! Patagonia! Paris! Paris! Hawaii! Hawaii! CAPA! CAPA! Barnes and Noble! Barnes and Noble! Amazon! Amazon! Library! Library! Woo! Woo! Why not? Why not? Go for it! Go for it! So what's different now than 6 60 seconds ago.
Oh, you energized us.
What?
You energized us
Where do you feel it?
all through my body.
All through
And
your body.
spreading out.
And watch do it again, because you
I
use
said
your whole
all through
body
my
to
body
do
and spreading out.
out there. This is the first of my 4 Oasis strategies. They are 4, 3, 2, 1. 4 strategies. My buddy Joe said, Millie, only 4? Like in the store, in the supermarket, there's books with 90. I said, yes, that's why I have only 4, because I want you to know them and do them. So I call this one the 4 directions. And I use it after a tough phone call or before I'm going to do some, just to shake out. Ready? North! South! East! West! And to let you know, coming down, help me please.
There we go.
Thank you.
Takes a village.
You can't always, you could say, oh no, because I'm going to do the next thing, which is not one of the strategies, but you actually gave a good intro for it without knowing it. Just like me. Everybody, me. You. We. Us. The 4 words. Me,
You, we, us.
Which one comes first?
Me.
What happens if you don't take care of me?
The other ones don't come.
The other ones don't matter.
You either burn out, you get resentful, you can't do it. So it's me. If I'm taking care of me, I will be able to take care of you. And we and us. So let's do it again. Me. You. We. Us. You got it now. So turn around and look at somebody else across the room, far away. Sing. Make sure you got a partner to sing it to. When I hit the bell, start it.
Take somebody.
Ready? Me. You. We.
Just like I am the walrus. You know, like the first stanza of I am the walrus.
So I'll tell you a funny story about that particular strategy. And as you can tell, I'm giving you an example of what this book is about and why it works as it. Oh, I'll even tell you, let's see, page 60. Oh, I do it all the time. Who feels like doing some out loud reading? Somebody help me out here? Good.
It's in English.
Come up so you can be on the screen too. What's your name?
Bruce.
Give him a hand. Okay. So let's read that part.
All righty. Studies indicate that exercise, even an activity as basic as 4D, can improve mood, enhance blood flow and cardiovascular fitness, improve memory, increase bone density, improve sleep, reduce stress, enhance self-image, make energy utilization more efficient, increase muscle tone and relaxation, diminish biological markers of aging. Not bad for a no-charge 1-minute stretch.
Thank you. Give him a hand. So I go to the Hispanic clinic in New Haven to work with the chronically depressed group. Just for kicks, go into a depressed stance. Just, it's like, you know how it is. Oh. So one of the things I try to do there is to bring in something that gets people moving and doing and not just talking about their problems and what the medications are. So I went in and tried to do this with them. It didn't fly. I was looked around the table, and there were 8 people there, and they were like, and I thought, okay, I got to find a way to connect with this group because they're not like you. They're not out there doing it. So I thought, just be honest, Will, just be honest. How many of you speak Spanish?
Un poco.
Un poco. So I was doing all this in Spanish, but I was thinking, okay, what might they identify with that I also identify with? So I told them very honestly, you know, some mornings I wake up and I really don't want to get out of bed. There's too many things I have to do. I just don't feel like I have energy. And you probably feel like that on some days. Yeah. And I said, well, you know, what I realized one day is that there was a big dumpster outside of where I live, and I could just dump some of the things before I get up so I don't have to carry them. So instead of doing north, south, east, west, I was going to, okay, what could I dump that they might identify with? So the first one I said was, platos sucios, dirty dishes. So dump dirty dishes with me. Okay, just. And then I said, unpaid bills. Oh, yeah, they could do that with me.
Back
And I said, pesky neighbors. Oh, yeah. And then I said, rainy days. And so they were beginning to look up, a little bit of eye contact. So I looked across at Maria. She's from El Salvador, and she was thinking, I could tell. I said, Maria, what would you like to dump? She said, a word that I didn't even know she knew. She said, el desequilibrio, unbalance. She was tossing unbalance. Mm-hmm. Then she said, el pesimismo, pessimism. Mm-hmm. Then she kind of got a twinkle in her eye. She said, my landlord. Then she was really saying, my 16-year-old son. So she laughed a little bit, and I said, Maria, about the 16-year-old son, you can recycle him, you know. It's not, if you toss him, you can recycle him, but if you carry him 24/7, doesn't help him, doesn't help you. And she was kind of getting it. So I call that the 4D dump. If we had time, I'd invite you, if we have time near the end, I'll ask you to do a 4D dump, if you could think about it. So the beauty about the dump is that I said, Maria, now that you've dumped this, you have room to invite something else in. So you're not carrying your landlord, the unpaid bills, the sun, pessimism. What would you like to invite in? She said, el optimismo, optimism. Then she said, la paz, peace. Then she said, la calma, calm. And the last one, la alegría. And I said, Maria, where do you feel that? She said, aquí. Whoa, this works. I couldn't go next week, but I found out that Maria taught the others how to do it. And when I came back the week after that, I said, Maria, how are you? And she said, oh, Miss Millie, I did it. I go to my apartment, and it's a crummy apartment. It's like, oh, it's not very nice. And I was, but I remembered, so I went, and then I thought, I have an apartment to live in. I'm not homeless. Oh, there's grass growing in front of my apartment. There's no elevator, and there is no laundry in my room, but I can walk. My legs work. And I have a 16-year-old son. So what did she change?
Her attitude.
Her attitude, her outlook on life. So that's the beauty of, that's why I'm bringing this. If you go to the gym and you just work out, imagine you using your right arm, lift a weight, 10-pound weight. Come on, let me see you lifting it up. Which muscles grow? Those muscles, right?
Biceps.
These, nada. It's the same thing with our brains. If I'm often on the anxiety brain wave, that grows. If I'm on the depressed brain wave, that grows. So another one of my strategies, which I call the cue to do, is noticing what channel am I on, and is it one that's serving me? If it's not serving me, change the channel. Go to another one. So just for kicks right now, think about what might be your default channel that sometimes you think you fall into without even thinking. I know mine is worry. My mother was the queen of worry, her mother was, and I used to think it was genetic in my DNA. It is not. It's a habit that I can shift by how I use my brain. So think about what is your default channel that might suck your energy. Think about it. And actually, if it feels okay, tell the person next to you, what's your default channel that takes your energy? Tell somebody if you're not afraid to make it public. Yeah? Got it? Say it again? Hard on myself. Hard on myself. Anybody else have that one? Like perfectionism a little bit, yeah. So if you stay on that channel, it feeds and feeds. It's a habit. It's used to it. So instead of being on that channel, choose one. What would you like to choose instead of that? That's the same question for everybody. Choose a different channel. What channel would serve you better right this minute? Might be different 10 minutes from now.
Oh, I was thinking, just do the best I can and be reasonable.
Say it again.
Do the best I can and be reasonable.
Do the best I can. So right now, do something that gives you pleasure. Find a color that gives you pleasure. Look around. Find something tangible that you can drink in. You got something?
In the room?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, the flowers.
Those flowers. Okay, literally go there and focus on that. Make it really tangible so that you can drink it in. So that's another one of the strategies. Okay? Let me breathe now to see what I want to do. Oh, I know what I want to do next with you. I was walking in from the parking lot and Arthur? Yeah. Did you show them your new book that just came out?
I did.
Yeah, okay. And he already guessed what these 3 Ps are. Look on your handout, and it says, the 5 secrets of presenting with P, P, and P. And he guessed all the P's. What do you think they are?
Positivity.
Perseverance.
Say it again. Don't tell him yet.
Perseverance.
Perseverance.
Well, perseverance, but that's too long to fit. That's good. I'll accept that.
Pride.
You guys are great. You're thinking of ones that I didn't think of. Prayer? Yeah. I didn't have any of those. You're wonderful. Passion. Passion was one of my P's.
Personality.
What's the other?
Personality?
Personality? Are you copying these down for me? They've got 4 that I hadn't thought of. Okay.
Play.
What?
Play.
Play. Another one.
Purpose.
Callum with. Okay.
Purpose. Purpose.
Purpose. Yet another one.
Perspective. The one thing that most people don't have.
Okay.
Purpose.
Mine is passion and 2 others that have only 5 letters.
Power.
What?
Power.
Power. Yes. And Poise. So, but you can have 10 P's then. Present yourself with passion, power, poise, perseverance, prayer, play. So, I've taught these 5 secrets of presenting. I was hired by Foxword Casino VPs, the CEO and 15 VPs who, believe it or not, this is maybe 5 years ago, are nervous about presenting in front of other people.
Really?
They do their job, so I came in and did a 5-day workshop with them, using their stage and television and lights and everything so that they could practice. So you're going to get the 5-day Foxwoods workshop in 5 minutes. Are you ready? So the 5 secrets of presenting, and I'll need you again on this, Deb. If you would, okay, just write C, D, E, F, G, and what I'd like, if there's a way you can kind of make a circle, you have to stand up and be so that you can look across at somebody from a distance. Or maybe this group here can kind of look at people in your group, and you guys look at each other, okay? Or maybe, make a group of about 8 here and you people back there, just so you can have some interactions. So the first one is C. C. And I'll tell you what C stands for. C stands for connect. And the main person to connect with is yourself. Connect with you. Then connect with what is your message? What do you want to convey? And with the people you're connecting and sending it to. So connect. So right now, I want you in this little group to see what face each other, and I want you to just connect across. And don't even have to use a loud voice. Just go, hi, I'm Dennis. How you doing? Anything you want to say to somebody across the room. Just connect. Feel yourself first, your message.
Oh, my
Okay, ready for D? Now, a lot of voice teachers, when they're talking about how to present yourself, they'll use the word project, which is like throw it out. I believe more in direct. Direct, that's the D. Direct your connection to them. And Luciano Pavarotti, I remember hearing an interview with him, and the interviewer said, Mr. Pavarotti, you sing pianissimo, and the person in the 3rd balcony hears you. How do you do that? He says, I make a golden thread with that person. So in your group now, think about connecting and directing and speak in a whisper to somebody across, but really make that golden thread. Do it right now. Play with it. Say something. Whisper. Whisper. Okay, you're now ready for E. If you connect and direct, you will have an effect. You will effect a change in you in the atmosphere. So just play with it, move with it. C, D, E. Do it. Use your hands, use your body, use your mouth. Yeah? Now, F and G do not rhyme with C, D, and E. If you connect, direct, and affect, you and your message will flow. You will flow. And the G rhymes with flow. What do you think? Glow. You will glow, and they will glow. So now, here's the challenge. I want you to find one person in your group. Pair up with somebody. Find a partner. Everybody find a partner. Raise your hand when you have a partner.
What was the S? What was the S?
Just in twos.
Because I got lost. Because I have to be very observant of everything.
So here is your challenge.
Yeah.
You're a trio.
We're a trio.
Okay. So here is the challenge. I'm going to invite you, I invite you, not going to, I invite you right now to think about your favorite book that you have written or are in the process of writing. Think about that, feel that, connect with it right now. What are you passionate about this work of art that's yours? Why is it important to you, and why do you think it might be important to somebody else? Connect with that as deeply as you can. When I ring the bell, you will, first of all, those who are going to go first, raise your hand. You'll take turns on this, so decide. Okay, everybody's got somebody to go first? Okay. So when you do that, you will simply have exactly 1 minute to convey whatever you want to about you and your passionate love of your book. Any questions? I'm going to ring the bell in 1 minute, and we've got a couple that are trios, so it's going to be a minute, and then you'll switch to somebody else and switch. Any questions? Go for it.
It's the only thing that is keeping me on is my nerves.
So, I'm not, all my projects are done.
But I can't even use my
As far as writing, so now I'm representing other people who are passionate about making other people's projects successful. Because that's what.
Switch.
Yeah. Well, we're doing trios, I guess, yeah. So I'm passionate about other people now because it's about, again, how can I help you? What can I do for you? It's how can I make your book use my platform and social media to, like I was talking about these socks. I'm an influencer, I get stuff mailed to me all the time, shirts, ties, CTR rings, you know, they just ship them, so it's like Christmas time. So I give them shout outs and their discount codes and they get business and I'm happy with that. So now it's about making authors successful. That's right, my genre. Yeah. And putting my name on it.
So those who are in trios, switch to the third. Those who were duos, you can have a couple extra minutes, 30 seconds, 30 seconds each. Okay, ready? Go. Talk, keep talking with your
What would be a constant real?
I asked her, Catherine.
Thank you, partners.
I think that clock speed doesn't just seem fast. How did that happen? Oh, that guy over there's got a DeLorean. He did.
Oh. Thank you, partners. Have a seat.
You're doing awesome. You're doing awesome.
So have a seat. Take a pause. Any questions right now of me? I've got a couple more things I want to do with you. Any questions? Close your eyes and think about what's one thing you've gotten for yourself this morning. Just think about that. And in a minute or two, I'm going to pass out a short evaluation that I really want you to be honest about, because I pay attention to these. So I want you to be honest on them. But before I do that, I have here, if you have a business card or write your name on a piece of paper with your email, and you can get my sanity tips that I send out, and I'll draw one from here, and you can choose whichever one of these books, whoever's card gets pulled out, you get a free book, and I'll autograph it for you. So do you mind passing it around and put your card in with email address? Yeah, we've got pens here if you need them. And while you're doing that, I'll just give you a very brief description. And Dan is my bookseller. All of these are tips of what you can do with your own book signing. Give out evaluations so that you really make a connection. People who want to stay connected with you can. And thankfully, Brian let me know that Dan was gracious enough to be my book seller, so that I'm free to sit down and autograph the book and don't have to deal with money. So, and for him doing that, I'm thanking him by letting him choose whichever one of these he wants to have free. So get things lined up for yourself ahead of time so you know. So just briefly to let you know, this one you already know. Or Dennis, will you hold them? That and
So my Vanna,
that's the one that you're.
this is the one I'm in.
This is a CD.
This is fabulous.
It's basically the same as the original book, but it's me telling you how to do the strategies. You listen to it. And my son playing trumpet on the interludes.
And anyone here speaks Spanish, those are also on sale.
Yeah, in Spanish. I did this one fairly recently. It's DVD of 3 minutes. You can plug it in and do a 3-minute strategy to chill. They're all there in variations on it. This is a book that I did, Roadmap to Success. I can tell you more about that. It's
It's everything you need to be successful.
Right.
And it's your blueprint.
And Deepak Chopra and Ken Blanchard, I did it because they're famous people, and it was good to be on that. And this is the little Oasis to Go pack, which has a stone, and I'll tell you about the stone. I think that's everything. Oh, is Oasis for you? And that's 25 stories from people who said yes and did the Oasis training. And this is like an Air Force pilot, all kinds of people. So those are the possibilities.
And do you have a packet if everybody gets everything?
I could do a special packet.
A special packet?
Yes.
Awesome.
We'll
we
work out a
don't
price.
necessarily have.
We'll work out a price.
Okay.
But otherwise, they're all at discount.
And am I done displaying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So your stone, you have your stone. Okay.
You want it back?
This one is very important because I'm going to ask you to do this with me before you write out your response on the evaluations. And on the last question on your what is one specific action I will do today to move forward? Each of you, Arthur, for your new book, what will you do today to move yourself forward? But before that, I'll demonstrate how to do this one stone. So just hold your stone. And I learned this from Thich Nhat Hanh after I had my bike accident. I spent a week with him before he became famous. It's at Omega Institute. And he was smart enough to know, he taught the kids how to do this. We adults might get it if we watched the kids. So he invited them to go down to the lake and choose a stone. And he told them his story, how he was in Vietnam during the war. You kids probably don't know about Vietnam. Your parents might have heard about it.
My number was 4.
But I was in the monastery then, and there were a lot of people who were wounded and sick and orphans, and I wanted to help them. So I went out to help them, but I lost them because I wasn't used to being in the streets. I was used to being in the monastery. And you kids are in the streets. We adults are in the streets. So he said, this is not about closing your eyes and going away to a peaceful place. It's about learning to be right here, right now, with whatever's going on, with your eyes open. It sounds simple, but it's like training for the Olympics. You need to keep doing it to really develop. Like I did this before mindfulness became the word. He was teaching mindfulness to us. So kids, look at your stone. What colors is it? Is it the same on both sides? Turn it over. It actually has more than 2 sides. Do you have a stone?
No, just handing something.
Who needs a stone if you need a stone? Anybody else? Yeah. How much does it weigh? What's its temperature? Is it perfect or does it have some scars? It's been around a lot longer than we have. So looking at your stone, eyes open, we're just going to take 10 easy breaths in and out. You can start now. Start with an exhale. Let a nice fresh inhale come in. And if your mind goes somewhere else when you're doing it, that's okay. That's what our minds do. Don't fuss at it. Just come back to your stone and your next breath. And I'll be quiet now. Just take a couple more seconds to hang out with you and your stone, and know that you can keep this stone. Sometimes I see people 12 years later who still have their stone. Use it whenever you want. And right now, take your hand out and write down what is one specific action you will do today. You don't need to tell me, but write it down so you're making a commitment to yourself. And pass out the evaluations. Also, if you do them, I'll trade you. Yes, these. Oh, keep your stone. Yes, it's yours.
Since the mic is here.
Yep.
I'm now going to put these into the magic bowl. And when you're, yeah. And when you're finished with your evals, anybody finished yet? Bruce?
We ran out of copies.
Are you finished with the eval? Oh, you need one.
I need one.
Anybody else back here too?
Oh. Nikki, are you finished with your, will you collect them? Just fold your eval in half and Nikki will collect them.
Yes, I
Yeah.
can do that, certainly.
Anybody else need one? Oh. Dan, another one over here.
Dan, may I have one, please?
Yeah.
Oh, you need one. Front row would, you'd think the front row would have got it.
Thank you.
Yes, it's okay. I'll give you my number, which I don't give out anymore.
With good reason.
Yeah.
It says CAPA. Yeah. And while people are finishing, I'm curious, it always helps me, anybody want to say out loud, what was something that you got from today? Yeah, Deb.
Permission to be free to be myself.
Wow. Can I give you 2 hands on that, please?
I'm having trouble with my right hand, but
Okay, will you say it, is it okay to stand up and say it to the group? This is key. You got it.
I'm having trouble walking.
Okay.
Today, I was given permission by Millie Grenog to be free to be myself. That's the most important thing, the gift that she gave me today.
Let's give her a hand. Don't leave yet. So I may have given her permission, but it wouldn't happen unless you give yourself permission.
And because she brought it to my attention that I was hindering myself before, I now feel free, and I've given myself permission to be
Wow.
myself.
Applause, please, too. And we have many witnesses now. And believe me, I know this one, because my big sister always thought I was a show-off. And it took me many years to be able to say, here I am, and not think she's such a show-off. In fact, I was at the airport with her 2 weeks ago, and we had a long wait, so I was doing my Qigong while I was waiting, and she said, "You're an exhibitionist." And I thought, that hurt me. But I asked her later, "Were you being critical?" And she said, "No, it just, you naturally love to do this, and I don't." So I cleared it with her, so she's not riding my back anymore. So say it once more, I am free, I am Deb.
My name is Debbie, and today I learned a valuable lesson for myself. I am free to be myself, and it feels good. Feels good to me.
And there may be consequences, Debbie, as there are
Oh,
for
I
me
know.
and Dennis knows too. When we're totally ourselves, not everybody might like it,
No, they don't like
but
it.
that's part of the, and it's a
There are guys.
possibility for conversation then, too. Anybody else? What? Yeah. Good for coming up. This is being filmed, I believe.
Oh, okay. I chose it because of the colors. I hadn't turned it over. And between the things that you said and the message of the stone, this stone is broken. There have been pieces chipped away from it. And yet I see the sparkles in there that tells me there may be a gem inside. And it's about being me, and the dumping is the most important thing, like throwing away those chips. They can go, I don't need them. And I'm moving on. Yeah, so I'm 73, and it took me a long time to get there, but I'm really happy being me.
Wonderful.
And then it's okay to
It's okay.
toss all that stuff.
Yeah, come right here, and I'm older than you are. I'm older than you are, but say whatever you want to say to this group about you.
About me, just happy being me. I had a lot of messages in my life that it wasn't good to be me. But I'm happy to be me.
Wonderful.
Proud of being me.
Okay. Time for one more person, if anybody else is moved. Okay, so magic moment. I forgot to introduce my assistant. This is my assistant who usually, and it was a gift from one of the patients at the Hispanic clinic. And interestingly enough, Dennis, that you're introducing me today, he came out to the group as gay, which was really challenging for a Puerto Rican man to do. And he was received by the group as a human being, as who he is. And he was so grateful. He brought me this little bear who's been with me for years now. He travels with me. So somebody pick out a card and you'll get to choose whatever you want. Not the bear and not the bear.
Go for the bells.
Okay, so, all right. Now I need my glasses. Sorry. Mark, I think this is you.
Mark McKell?
Yeah, that's you, yes. So, Mark McKell, come on.
So whatever you want.
They're lined up back here.
Yeah.
Not the bear.
I never win prizes.
Good, and I'll autograph it for you. So thanks to Brian for inviting me, and thanks for whoever suggested. Thanks, Deb. I still use the photos you took of me.
I'll be having more for you.
Oh, good, good. And what Dennis was saying about supporting each other is so important. I was just asked to be a member of the New Haven Peace Commission, and I've been saying no to a lot of things, but that one feels really important to me. As you probably know, there was a young man killed, black man, by police he was from New Haven a couple of weeks ago. So violence in our cities, and one of the things that I'm alarmed about was to find out how much of our tax money, our national money, is spent on what's called national defense. But it's like 60%. And my dad was a veteran. I support our soldiers, but it's like 60%, and there's not enough for education or health or housing. So that's what I'm doing on the Peace Commission. And I just wrote a letter that was noticed by Ariana Huffington of the Huffington Post. And she said she really liked what I wrote. Would I write a post for her Thrive Global International platforms, which I just did 2 days ago. So I'll see if I can send that link to CAPA for you.
Yeah, definitely.
But
We
it's
can
like,
put it in the authority.
good, that would be
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
But it's like being who you are, whatever. I might disagree with somebody on something, but where do we have the common bond with human beings when we can be who we
I didn't
are?
get that.
Okay, so any questions? Thank you for your warm reception.
Everybody, thank you so much for coming out today on this coldest day of the year.